It's definitely no accident that season 14's finale takes its name from one of the Bible's most famous stories. In Genesis, Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac is rewarded. God steps in at the last moment, saying his devotion has been proven and that he need not go further. It's a story ultimately about faith and the devotion to that faith. The story is integral to the ending of season 14 of Supernatural. It's what's been set up from the beginning, even in ways that we never noticed, and it's the perfect story to use to parallel God in Scripture and God in Supernatural. Because Supernatural has always been a story about faith too, but never faith in God, faith in family. Supernatural believes in family more than it believes in cosmic foes and forces. Every choice every character makes throughout the show is focused around the belief of faith, and that you'll be okay so long as you rely on those you trust. Dean doesn't prove loyalty to Chuck by obeying and killing Jack. He shows loyalty to his family by refusing the order and letting his family live. Dean has always been the soldier to follow blind orders, and this time he's finally stood up and said no. I've mentioned, especially in my faith video, that Chuck is a stand-in at times for Sam and Dean's dad, and this feels like the ultimate usage of that, and that's the true heart of this episode, that inversion, and that matters because Moriah is the moment the mask drops. Mount Moriah in Scripture was a site of covenant where God's presence dwelled, and in Supernatural, Moriah is where God's absence is exposed, where the facade cracks and the supposed creator is revealed to be a petty, narcissistic writer that comes in with a magic gun that can supposedly fix everything, but only if Dean kills the one thing he ever got right. The boy that he raised in Jack. He's not even really God anymore, he's just the author of their suffering. And that's another brilliant layer that gets added onto the episode. You see, while the biblical allegories are very clear and present here, this episode is also a very cool metatextual episode. Supernatural finales had fallen into a bit of a rhythm throughout the years, especially during the later seasons. They'd always feel like a new way to stop the problem is dropped onto their laps, but one of the brothers have to die. Seasons 8, 9, 10, 11, hell, even 13 all felt like this. And if you want to extend further back, season 5 fits into this exact trope. And now, Sam and Dean are once again at the end of the line. They're up against a Nephilim with no soul and the power of a cosmic archangel, and he's pissed at them for lying. And then Chuck shows up, a literal god in the machine, they reference that by the way, and he drops a gun on a table that can kill anything. A gun he literally just invented. And then he drops the big twist we all saw coming. Whoever shoots the gun, whatever happens to the victim, happens to the one who uses the gun. To kill Jack, someone has to die. If it feels entirely dull and like a boring rehash, it's because it is, and the show and the characters know it. Immediately they push back against Chuck, and immediately Dean decides he's going to be the one to kill Jack. Because it has to be him, right? He always knew he'd have to kill Jack at some point, and now it's the only way. But why? Because Chuck willed it. And even though we get the same recycled "we'll find another way" speech from Sam to Dean, it eventually clicks for Sam. He remembers Michael's warning to him earlier in the season, that Chuck cancels worlds. He cancels shows. Like I said, Chuck is an author, but also an audience member. He's writing what he thinks is a good story, but by the nature of the world that he's in and what he's writing, he's also entertained. In the climax, he's enjoying the show. He's not just making sure things go down the way that they should, he knows they will. He's just giddy to see it. And when Dean rebels and turns against Chuck, and when Sam shoots Chuck, severing the final connection and grasp of faith that Sam might have had in a god, Chuck decides he's gonna cancel his favorite show. Once and for all. And for Chuck, canceling the show means ending the world. And that brings us to Jack. Season 14 was his story. Hell, seasons 12 through 14 have been his story. His growth, his mistakes, his fall. He's the true Alpha and the Omega, the first creation of God and the second creation mixed into one. By choosing Jack, by disobeying Chuck, Dean has made the decision to pick something not created by God, but by his creations. Jack is something unnatural and disturbing to Chuck. Something that didn't come from him, but because of him. And that's ultimately what makes Chuck lose faith too. Because not only did Sam and Dean lose faith in the divine creator, but he lost faith in his creations. Whatever he might have gained after season 11, whatever he might have thought his creations needed from him, they don't anymore. They disobeyed. His toys aren't doing what he wants, so he doesn't trust them anymore, and he doesn't want to write stories with flawed characters who don't play their roles. I've often seen people say in this episode that this twist of Chuck's character contradicts earlier episodes of the show, specifically in season 5. All throughout that season, Sam and Dean have to make choices whether to follow their destinies or stand beyond that and make their own story and defy the odds. And many people will say that Chuck is a contradiction now. He wanted Sam and Dean to disobey in season 5, but now he's mad that they're doing just that. But isn't that just the thing? Chuck wanted them to disobey in season 5. By preventing the apocalypse, he was doing exactly what he wanted. He was proud of them. Which is why Moriah is so devastating. It's the shattering of faith. For Sam, the believer, this is the moment that the God he prayed to is unmasked as an abuser. For Dean, the skeptic, it's the vindication that rings hollow. He was right all along. If a God exists, he must be cruel, and Chuck is just that. But what comfort is there in being right about something so utterly cruel and lacking in care? And for Chuck, it's the proof that all of his creations are flawed. Just like his angels failed him, so have humans. So too have Sam and Dean. This specific Sam and Dean, the ones who always did as he asked. Okay, and now I have to take a step back and just praise how this episode works as a finale, because this episode is climactic and awesome and about every way possible. I've talked about how this episode works as an upending of Supernatural's finale conventions and the parallels of the biblical story, but have I mentioned just how damn cool this episode is? It's such a satisfying finale to season 14, even if it's also a chaotic and layered episode. I used to think that it derailed the story going on with Jack, but I really don't think it does anymore. All throughout seasons 13 and 14, the show has clearly been building up to Jack and Dean's relationship, and we knew it'd be tested at some point. Dean went from swearing he'd kill the devil's son to crying and mourning his death, and now, at the end, when told by God that he needs to kill him, it's really damn cool that he doesn't. It pays off the character arc from seasons 13 and 14 for both Dean and Jack, and Dean doesn't not kill Jack just to disobey Chuck. He chooses not to kill him because he didn't mean what he did. He knows that it was an accident, and he knows that Jack is worth more than this. And then the ending is just fantastic. It's so tense and exciting when Sam shoots Chuck, and I'm in awe every time. And then the needle drop with Motorhead's God Was Never On Your Side is so fucking awesome. Seeing all of the things Sam and Dean have killed raising out of the ground, watching their horror and their choice. Oh man, the final decision of family overall might have doomed the whole damn world. Again. It's really compelling, and it sets things up for season 15 so well, if only it actually followed through. At the end of the day, Moriah is the thesis statement for everything Andrew Dabb wanted to say about Supernatural. For better or worse. Faith in God has been weaponized, twisted, and betrayed until the show finally rips the mask away and declares that there was never a benevolent hand guiding things. Just a writer who wanted to see his toys dance. And yet, even when faith in the divine collapses, Sam and Dean choose each other. They choose family, they choose to fight. And like I've said all the times before, Supernatural's all about faith, but not faith in God. Thank you for listening to my thoughts about Moriah. It's an episode that I really, really like, and an episode that I think ties into my videos about faith on the show prior. It ties in nicely with Don't Call Me Shirley and the overall feeling of free will and faith, but not in a higher being, but in each other. Tomorrow, we're going to be tackling the most important episode of the entire show, the final episode.